Lilo and Stitch, released in 2002, the first animated feature film to take place in Hawaii. It is centered on two characters: Lilo, a 6-year-old girl living with her older sister Nani after the tragic loss of their parents in a car crash, and Stitch, an artificially created alien that crashes on the island. Stitch at the beginning of the film is essentially a chaotic destruction machine. He's chased by other aliens who want to capture him, and in order to avoid that capture, he pretends to be a dog and he gets adopted by Lilo. And while he initially thrives on chaos and causes a lot of trouble for Lilo and Nani, eventually he has to learn to embrace the concepts of family and friendship. So I'll start with the looks. This is a very old school looking film, which was very deliberate as well. After some of the previous Disney films like Atlantis didn't make a lot of money, the animators decided to try and go back to the roots to find something new. And for the first time since the 1940s, they used watercolor backgrounds, which give the film this distinct look. They also used warmer hues in general, which fit well the general atmosphere of Hawaii, and they refrained from using modern day technology such as deep canvas. The result is something more reminiscent of the old classics like Pinocchio or Snow White rather than the more modern movies. The tone of the film itself draws heavily on the themes of family, being an outcast, finding acceptance from others, but also on the Hawaiian culture. Some of the real landmarks of the island that the film takes place on are shown on the screen. There's surfing, there's hula dancing, the accents are on point. It does feel like an effort was made for authenticity, which I appreciated. I think that the central relationship between Lilo and Stitch works really well as the emotional heart of the film. They both have to grow as people, even though the growth for Stitch is definitely more noticeable. But despite the near 180 that he does make as a character, I found it to be believable throughout because he does retain some of his defining traits throughout. Even as he finds the good in himself, he still has that element of unpredictability and chaos and wildness. And that thing being the cause of a lot of mayhem on the screen is very, very entertaining. I think that Stitch works great in not just the action sequences, but even in the slower scenes. He has that unique presence about himself that I think no other Disney character does. I also have to say that while my reception of the movie now mostly aligned with the fond memories that I had from watching it as a child, the way I perceive the character of Nani has changed a lot. When you see the film as a kid, she's almost a nuisance. She's annoying, she's someone trying to enforce Lilo's behavior, someone who doesn't want to understand her younger sister. But as an adult, you can see how she is a young woman put in an impossible situation, trying to make ends meet while also caring for her younger sister, while also dealing with the social services potentially wanting to take her away. And yeah, she's rough sometimes, but she loves Lilo very deeply, and you can see that sisterly care shining through her every action. One less interesting tidbit that is that a lot of the third act had to be redone essentially because of 9/11. Originally, Stitch was supposed to hijack a plane and chase Captain Gantu around a large city, flying in between buildings. But obviously, so soon after 9/11, that wouldn't have looked so well. So while the entire sequence of aerial chase remains in the film, the plane was swapped to be a spaceship, and city streets were swapped to be mountain alleys. You can actually see some of the original animated footage on YouTube for comparison. It's interesting to me how seamlessly the new version looks. In any case, really good film with a well thought out concept and an execution to match.